like, do you do this and this and this? And she's like, yeah, we do this and this. And then she would say something else and it would trigger like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that. And I just was so amazed. And I said, I was busy at the time building a house in Alpine on 3 acres and just all these different things. And I said, well, I've got to go home and pray and think about this, because I was so overwhelmed, and came back and I knew that that was what I needed to do. But then as I started teaching there and we were doing the transition of me purchasing the school, I was doing the Pathways program, and Jessica's husband was in the class, and he came up to me one night after I had shared with the class that I homeschooled and that I was running this private school, and he said, you need to come to my house. My wife is pregnant and she homeschools and she has all these fears and concerns, and you need to come to my house and you need to tell her what you do and how you homeschool. And I was like, oh no. I'm not going to some other woman's house and telling her how to homeschool her kids. That's not going to happen. And I said, you can bring her to the school if you want. That would be fine. I would love to have her come to the school and we'll show her what we do, but I'm not going to come to your house and like, he was so cute. Anyways, so they said they were coming. They texted me and said, we're coming, we want to come see. Well, that's not what happened. When they came and they were like, we're signing up right now with 10 kids. And I was just amazed, right? But then after that, Jessica became, I call her my partner, even though I owned the school at the time. I had never in my life experienced what a true partnership was. My marriage was ending. I didn't know that at the time. And in 2020, I took a year off, even though I was running the school. And I just went to Jessica and I said, I have to step away. And she just, her and Josie and Carolina just took over everything, and just, I was able to just leave for a whole year to try to save my marriage and my life, because I was a mess with just so many things that were happening. And she never complained, at least not to me too much. But, oh, thank you. I just am so amazed at their family, the Rodrigues family, and how much they're able to do as they live in a very bizarre way to us Americans. But because of that, it gives them so much ability to do and to serve in ways that we struggle to. But that being said, I just am so grateful for the things that I learned while running the Kimber Academy, the times that the Lord created miracles that I never expected would happen. And, I went through so much in the last 5 years that I know that if I had not taught at the Kimber Academy and gone through all those miracles and see the Lord provide all those things, I would never have been able to survive this last 5 years. It's still been terribly rough, but there were so many times that I could look back and say, okay, I know that the Lord was there, and I know that He knew me specifically. And I'm just so grateful for the time that I've been able to spend working with Jessica and becoming friends with her, and just learning these principles. And when you read the 5,000-year leap, one of my favorite things is the prologue? Because when I was going through my divorce at the beginning, and I was at the school teaching, we had a big, huge thing with the 28 principles, and it said just each of the different principles really quickly, and this poster in the bathroom. I would go in there and I'd sit and I would look at it, and I just kept thinking, if a principle is a principle is a principle, is true for one person, for a small group, for a large group, for a country. If it's not true for all of these, then it's not a true principle. And that just kept like coming to my heart and to my mind. And one night I was just so frustrated with how the divorce was affecting my kids and how I could parent and just all these things. And I got out the 5,000 Year Leap and I read the prologue from the view of a husband and wife. And it was so powerful and so amazing. And I just am so grateful for Cleon Skousen. I used to joke that if I couldn't find a husband, that I would just wait until the next life and be one of his wives. Which is actually a terrible plan and I don't agree with at all. But anyways, I just am so grateful for all the things that I've been able to learn through the last 10 years and Jessica and our relationship. And so that's it.
All right. I guess it's my turn. Thank you, Tamara. I'll tell a little bit about our story, but it was interesting, our friendship, how it started. And we look back and, Tamara gave me my first baby shower. I had 4 kids, but I didn't have baby showers. I was always against baby showers. But on my 4th child, I was pregnant when I met her, and she wanted me to teach the next year. I think that's why she threw me the baby shower. She's like, if I do this, she will agree to teach. But yeah, that was my first, one and only baby shower. So anyway, it was fun. Okay, I'm going to, like I said, I'm Jessica Rodrigues Bianco. I'll talk a little about our family today, and that's actually really important and what we're going to be talking about. But I'm here to just give you guys a little bit of what the 28 Principles of Freedom, a family guide to America's Manifest Destiny, is. And in the introduction to this, Julianne wrote down, the rising generation will need to understand these basic principles of good government in order to preserve them. Everything, all the work that Cleon Skousen and Dr. Kimber and Julianne Skousen, Kimber now continue, is based on us teaching the next generation to save the Constitution, right? That's pretty much what they are doing, and everything that they do in all of their curriculum and all of their books. That is the main focus, and it's America's Manifest Destiny. This is what it is. I'm going to go through a couple of things. The first thing I wanted to share was that we are in a battle. We've been in a constant battle. And this battle has been happening for thousands of years, but right now we are living the battle. People have lived it before. We are living this battle for the hearts and minds of the youth. It's always been this way. If we go back into the scriptures, the adversary, the secret combinations, deep state, whatever you want to call this, they are the ones that are against God's plan. And so they want to steal the hearts and minds of the youth. Because if they can do that, they can propagate their ideals, right? So we need to be able to teach liberty before it's too late. I'm good. These are my grandparents. That's Dr. Joseph Rodrigues and his wife Nazira, and they are Brazilian immigrants. They came to the United States in the early 70s. My dad was just 14 years old. They came from a country that was just rooted in communism and feudalism, and a place where they could not raise their family anymore and feel like they could raise their family and bring them into godly principles. They had to follow what the state was telling them. He was very politically active. My grandpa was very political in his country. His father wrote some of the first worker laws in Brazil. His brother assisted one of the presidents. He was like in their top cabinet, and his brother was actually murdered. That's why my grandpa came to the United States. He came as a political refugee. They were just hunting everyone down from that administration and just, killing them. He was tortured. When they found him, my grandpa actually took him to another country, took him to Paraguay, and was able to leave him there, and then he came back, but later they found his body and it had been tortured and all of these things, and that's when my grandpa decided it was time to leave. And he had come to America before in the past, and he had loved everything about it. He actually did transatlantic like ship ride. Okay, like he came by boat the first time that he came, going all the way to New York, and he really loved everything that America had, and he sent his daughter a few years before. She was the pioneer. She came as a foreign exchange student. And I'm going to talk to her about that a little bit. But my grandpa, generally speaking, he lived with us. Okay, like so, I talk a lot about my grandparents and my aunt because we live in a multi-generational family. Right now, there's 24 people that live in the same house.
Oh.
I grew up with my grandpa, grandma, my aunt who was single, she never married, and then my mom and
They're
dad.
a bunch of fun havers, I'll tell you
Yeah.
that. It's a beautiful home.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, we have enough space. It's all good. We do not all sleep in the same room. People always ask us
On the floor.
They ask us those questions. It's crazy. Well, what is it? Do you guys have rooms for everyone? Like, what happened? Like, guys, yes, we all have our own rooms. Growing up, that's just what it was. And Grandpa became a major influence in my life, Grandpa and Grandma. I had the opportunity of spending the last moments of my grandma's life with her. I was always traveling with her because she was going to Brazil, and it was their life became my life, and that my life became their life. So much that everything was, if Grandpa and Grandma were there, if they approved, if this was something that they would like. My own husband, both of my grandparents had already passed away. And my biggest concern was, would I be able to live with my husband and my grandparents in eternity? Are they going to like this man? And so, but luckily, not luckily, but I was blessed to have that answer when I went to the temple and with my husband. And so I know that they were happy with my decision. But that's why I'm going to talk a lot about them, because I feel like we have so much to offer. You have so much to offer to the next generation. And sometimes we don't quite really know it. And not everyone had the opportunity that I had to live with my grandparents in my home. But to us, it was a huge, huge blessing. And all of us, we are 7 siblings, all of us have been dramatically affected by them. And I can recognize that today. I didn't know that. In the past, I just thought my grandpa was boring and he wanted me to wear long skirts. He didn't agree with my short. I used to wear short skirts. That was my problem. As a young woman, but he was, couldn't wear them in front of Grandpa. But that's the only thing I saw. But today, as a mom, I can see the effect that he had on me. So these are my parents. I don't know if you guys know, but by the age of 8, the child's brain has largely already, developed, and all the experiences that we have as babies, as just little kids, are going to be the foundation for our future. Okay? So in everything, how we learn and how we behave and our health, all of those things are going to be affected by the time we are 8 years old. And I thought it's interesting that studies have shown that when we know that the age of accountability is 8, right? And I can understand why. My parents they married young, and my dad, because of his profession, my dad's a dental technician and my grandpa was a dentist, so my grandpa didn't plan on my dad being with him his whole life. Because my grandpa had 8 children, and 6 of his kids all got married and made their own lives, right? Had their own homes and all that. But my dad was my grandpa's assistant. So he did all the dental tech work for my grandpa, and my grandpa trained him. He was the only son that wanted to follow into Grandpa's footsteps. And although he never became a dentist, he dedicated his life to my grandpa's work. And so it was kind of just circumstantial. Wherever my grandpa was, my dad was. And then that's where we were, us kids.
It's so cool too, because they have their own lab right there on site, and they can do 3 of them.
Yeah, we have. Right now we run 3 dental offices aside from the Kimber Academy.
Oh, I need to talk to you.
Yeah, we run the 3 that are open today. This business that we have has been open for almost 20 years now.
Wow.
But my grandpa, back way when he immigrated, he couldn't practice as a dentist initially, so they opened dental labs, and that's what they did. But then they went to California and they opened 7 dental offices. Mm-hmm. That's a whole other story. They got really involved with the freedom movement in California, helping the immigrants understand what freedom was and true principles of America, and trying to teach the Hispanic population about about these freedoms and liberties. So that was when I was just 5 years old. Like so very long, my grandpa just embraced America in every way. And he was an American long before he ever came here. He was just, he had the American spirit in his heart. And so,
Jessica,
yeah.
you should share, maybe you should, about what you found out about your grandpa's, the DNA and where your family came from.
Oh, yeah. So we did, yes, it's actually really interesting. We did a DNA, you know those DNA tests?
It's like 23andMe type of thing.
Whatever that is.
Ancestry.
Yeah. It's so funny that it came back that we had some roots in the southern states of, so was it Georgia? South Carolina?
I think it was Georgia.
It was Georgia. So we don't know where that is coming from yet. We haven't found it, like the lineage, but our DNA was matched to people in Georgia. So that's kind of. But in Brazil, just FYI, after the Civil War, there were a lot of people that went and they were running away from, everything that happened. So the Confederates, a lot of them fled to Brazil. They founded a city called Americana.
Oh.
Very close to where our
that's-
family is from. So,
There are a lot of
There
Russians
you
and
go.
Germans in Brazil and Argentina.
yeah, there are two. So it could be. We'll see. Right? We will see.
It's exciting.
It
Very
is
cool.
exciting. So, it was very interesting. So my dad allowed us to. It's really them that just decided to stay and stick with it. I know there were probably times for my parents that they thought of not being this multi-generational family, but my dad always reverted back. He actually moved out of the house once, and my dad's very superstitious. So he moved out of the house in California, and the same night, there was a huge earthquake in California. So he packed everybody back up the next morning and went back to my grandpa's house and said, "I'm never leaving again," because he thought that was a message from God telling him not to. So, and then this is my Aunt Sandra. She also lived with us. She was single.